Okay, so picture this. You buy a brand new computer and it's already slower than your old one. That is a reality that we are living in, guys, in 2026, freaking 2026. Not because of viruses, not because of bloatware, but because Microsoft, the all powerful Microsoft, decided your File Explorer needs AI, your Paint app needs AI, even your settings menu needs AI. And when the internet starts calling it slop, which, let's be honest, is what it is, Microsoft CEO literally begs everyone to please stop using that word. It's so hurtful. And then Nvidia CEO jumps in telling us that we should stop being doomers about AI. Both of them are just desperately trying to control the narrative because they have invested billions with a B into a product that, let's be honest, nobody wants. And when their damage control ultimately failed, the internet gave Microsoft the perfect nickname, Microslop. So let's talk about why the world's most powerful tech CEOs are having public meltdowns, how Microsoft is destroying Windows 11 with forced AI bloat, and why their desperate attempts to control the conversation are just backfiring spectacularly. Okay, so in December of 2025, Merriam-Webster, the actual dictionary, named slop as their word of the year. Their definition is digital content of low quality that is produced usually in quantity by means of artificial intelligence. This definition is absolutely brutal and in this context completely accurate. So what does the Microsoft CEO do? Satya Nadella publishes a rambling blog post called Looking Ahead to 2026, where he quite literally begs people to stop using that word. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Here is the actual quote. We need to get beyond the arguments of slop versus sophistication and develop a new equilibrium in terms of our theory of the mind that accounts for humans being equipped with these new cognitive amplifier tools. Let me translate that corporate word salad for you. Please stop calling our AI bad. Please, we've invested too much money for you to keep saying that it sucks. I mean, the post is just full of buzzwords like cognitive amplifiers, and it reads like it was written by, oh wait, multiple analysts actually ran it through AI detectors, and Copilot itself said the post shows signs of being AI generated. Microsoft CEO maybe used AI to write the entire blog post defending AI. I mean, you can't make this up, but it gets better. The internet, being the beautiful chaos that it is, immediately invoked the Streisand effect. And for those of you who don't know, it's really old with Barbara Streisand. Basically, someone took like a picture of her house and she got all upset that there was a picture of her house, and then it made everybody look at the picture of her house, right? So basically, it's when you're trying to hide or suppress something and that makes it spread even faster. So within hours, the term microslop started trending across Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, and every other platform imaginable. People started posting memes with fake Microsoft logos that said microslop, and the term just exploded. One programmer named Ryan Fleury posted a 30-second video that perfectly captures the problem of Windows 11's AI-powered search bar. So he types exactly that, the AI's own suggestion, and gets 0 results. Nothing. But when he searches test afterward, he immediately gets 3 results. The AI feature doesn't even work with its own suggestions. That video went viral with people commenting that this is not a real company and Microslop everywhere. And Microsoft's not alone in this defensive posture. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang just went on the No Priors podcast and complained about what he called the battle of the narratives around AI. Here's his quote. I think we've done a lot of damage with very well-respected people who have painted a doomer narrative, end of the world narrative, science fiction narrative. It's not helpful to people. It's not helpful to the industry. It's not helpful to society. And it's not helpful to the government. Translation: please stop questioning AI. It's bad for our stock price. Now, why are these CEOs just so desperate to control the narrative? With pretty much anything in life, you can just follow the money. Microsoft has invested over $13 billion with a B into OpenAI. They're building massive data centers. Azure's entire growth strategy is built around AI. Nvidia's market cap hit $3 trillion. Yes, with a T, tango, trillion, almost entirely because of AI chip demand. But here is the problem. The general public doesn't see AI as a selling point. Remember, Dell's survey actually talked about this earlier this week in my news video. Dell actually ran a survey and they said that less than 20% of buyers cite AI as a top 3 purchase driver. Microsoft has 8 million paid Copilot licenses as of August 2025, which sounds like a lot until you realize Microsoft has over 400 million Microsoft 365 users. That's a 2% adoption rate. 2%. Now, luckily, because of that, Dell has actually said they're no longer going to be prioritizing AI in their products moving forward. They would still have the, I forgot the term. I'll put it up on the screen if I remember, but it's like the AI specific CPU. Sorry, that it's still going to have like those chipsets and everything, but they're not going to push it heavily because they realize it's just not worth the investment, which I think is great. I normally don't like Dell. I don't know why. They just are not my favorite in the hardware. But props to them for being able to admit that and at least follow some of the data. Anyway, back to the original story. These companies have invested hundreds of billions of dollars into a technology that consumers are actively rejecting. So now they're just in full damage control mode, trying to shame people into accepting AI by calling criticism unhelpful or asking us to embrace the new theory of the mind, which wouldn't the theory of the mind be, I don't know, using your mind to think? Because honestly, the arrogance is staggering. Nadella earned $79 million in compensation in 2025. The same year, Microsoft laid off over 15,000 employees, citing AI transformation as a strategic policy. And guess what? They're going to be laying off more people this year. They're using AI as an excuse to cut jobs while forcing the same unwanted AI features on the people who remain. And the irony, Microsoft's own AI chief, Mustafa Suleyman, just put that on the screen here, responded to the backlash by tweeting, "The fact that people are unimpressed is mind-blowing to me." That's the problem right there. These executives are so disconnected from reality that they genuinely just cannot comprehend why people don't want their products. They've convinced themselves that AI is revolutionary, and in some ways, let's be real, it is, but not like this. And to them, anyone who disagrees must just not understand it yet. So let's just keep pushing it on society. They'll get it, right? Now, what they don't get is that we understand it perfectly. We understand that it's slow, unreliable, privacy invasive, resource hungry, and being forced on us against our will. The fact that calling it slop makes tech CEOs this upset tells you everything you need to know about just how precarious their position really is. So are you going to stop calling it slop? Because I'm sure not going to stop calling it slop. All right, so let's start with the elephant in the room, because Microsoft has gone completely, absolutely insane with AI integration, especially with Windows 11. I'm not talking about optional features that you can turn on and off if you want. I'm talking about AI being shoved into literally everything, whether it needs to be there or not. So let's list a couple of examples here. We have File Explorer, the thing you use to browse your files, now has Copilot integration. You can right-click a file and it'll summarize it, analyze it, send it to AI for processing. Sounds cool, right? Except for a couple of things that sometimes people don't put together. To use this, you now need an always online internet connection. All of that information to get processed by the AI goes to a cloud server that can get hacked, that can get used to sell your data, that is establishing patterns all against your will, and it's going to take processing power, which is a pretty big problem given the fact that to develop AI, RAM is now tough to find. So they are going to be making computers and other hardware with less processing power, GPUs with less RAM. I saw an article about bringing back DDR3 RAM. Like DDR3, Microsoft is also testing features that allow AI apps to access all your personal files and folders through File Explorer. And here's the kicker. As one Windows reporter put it, we really don't know if AI will scan the file it's supposed to because it'll have access to all your folders through File Explorer. AI can hallucinate after all. Now, again, think of that cloud server it's got to go to, processing all your information. Think of the processing power that this is going to take on your computer. These are all bad things. Even if they try to offload everything to cloud, which is probably what they're going to do, but I hate it anyway. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move on. Microsoft Paint is a new one that we're seeing reports of Copilot being added into. It's just a simple drawing program that's been around since Windows 1.0. Now, this generative AI for fill and erase functions, background removal, and image upscaling are being added. I mean, sounds like cool features, right? But do they belong in Paint? The app's supposed to be lightweight and simple so that even a potato can run it. And we're doing this to it? What about Windows Search, which now uses AI-powered descriptive language processing instead of just, searching for file names? It's constantly indexing, analyzing, and learning from your behavior. This runs in the background 24/7, consuming disk and CPU resources even when you're not actively using it. And as the examples we have seen, it works like crap. The old stuff was so much better at finding what I was looking for. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, there's even a new agenda view in the notification center, AI-powered Windows settings. There's now an AI agent that accepts natural language commands to change the settings. There's a narrator with AI-enhanced image descriptions. Copilot actions can now perform multi-step tasks on your behalf in contained workspace environments. Microsoft also announced something called the Agent Workspace, which they claim to be a private preview feature that allows AI agents to run in the background with access to your files and folders, performing tasks in parallel without disrupting your primary session. This is essentially giving AI full access to your system to work autonomously. And the most controversial feature of all, recall. This takes periodic screenshots of everything that you do on your computer, uses OCR to transcribe text, and makes your entire digital history searchable, which sounds cool to the layman, right? When this came out, you were able to search things like banking information, passwords. There were even IT admins who said that it captured secret keys. Lovely. And here's what's really frustrating to me about this. Microsoft isn't giving you a choice. Sure, you can disable some of these features through group policy or registry edits, but they're building this into the core OS. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember back in the day, I would turn off certain settings or do things like uninstall Skype, and I'd have a Windows update and it would randomly show back up again. Or I would have startup programs that I would disable because it's making everything load slower upon boot. And I would see after Windows update, those would magically come back. So I don't really trust the choice we're being given, to be honest. Yeah, group policy and registry edits, are a little bit better, but I shouldn't have to do that with my PC. So in the Windows 11 update, KB5065426 from September 2025 shows that an offline installer is nearly 4 gigabytes. I can't believe I just said that. Because it includes on-device AI model binaries. That's right, guys. Whether you want AI or not, Microsoft is downloading massive AI models to your computer with every update. This is disgusting. Now, let's talk about what all this AI is doing to your computer's performance, because this is where it gets really bad. I mean, I've talked about it a lot already, but we're gonna reiterate some stuff. We're gonna go into it again, okay? So users across the internet are reporting slower boot times, higher memory usage, and frequent glitches that disrupt their workflows. The Copilot sidebar will randomly pop up uninvited and will slow down multitasking, as if Windows 11 isn't slow enough. Then you have the AI-enhanced Windows search, which continuously indexes files in the background, consuming considerable disk and CPU resources, which again, all of this is limiting the resources moving forward. Windows Central did testing and found that the old web-based version of Copilot used up to 1 gigabyte of RAM on average. That's more RAM than most entire applications. Microsoft recently even shipped a native version that uses 50 to 100 meg instead, which, sure, it's better, but still, that's memory being consumed for a feature most people never asked for, and even more of us would prefer to just erase. Can we RF-F that, huh? No. No, we can't. And here's the thing, AI resources do consume substantial system resources because they perform complex calculations locally on your device. Live captions, background intelligence, AI-enhanced search, they all require processing power, memory, and storage that can overwhelm older or mid-range computers. Many of these tools were designed for processors with dedicated NPUs or neural processing. If you don't have an NPU, which is being shipped with a lot more of the current motherboards, your standard CPU has to handle the entire workload, dramatically increasing resource consumption and heat generation. One user with a 10th gen i7 processor, 32 gig of RAM, and 6 terabytes of storage recorded that the new Copilot features like Smart GPT-5 and Deep Research would load about 3 seconds before crashing. That's a pretty standard PC, pretty good build. And yeah, because of stupid Windows, it's now basically a potato. Multiple tech forums and trackers have documented spikes in Copilot outages, with users worldwide noting downtime and erratic behavior. When Microsoft's AI layer fails, core productivity scenarios break entirely. Organizations that integrated Copilot into their workflows saw those processes completely stop during outages. And let's not forget, Microsoft's documentation even admits that AI features can hallucinate and expose security vulnerabilities. Malicious content can manipulate these AI tools into harmful actions like data leaks, but they're shipping it anyway. And the consensus from users, well, Windows 11 feels bloated. Bloated. Features that should make your computer faster are making it slower. Features that should simplify your workflow are making it more complicated. And features that should be optional are forced on everyone. Now, home stretch here, guys. Let's talk about why. Why does Microsoft and Nvidia feel so desperate to defend AI? Because this is where you can really see just how much trouble they're in. Microsoft didn't just invest in AI. They went all in. Their entire market valuation, roughly $3 trillion, is based almost entirely on AI infrastructure demand. They're the picks and shovels provider for the AI gold rush. And if the AI hype dies, their stock price follows. Oh no. But here's the nightmare scenario keeping these CEOs up at night. What if consumers just don't want it? What if AI ends up being like 3D TVs or the metaverse or NFTs or any of the other technologies that Silicon Valley tried to force on people? And the evidence is actually mounting that this might actually happen. Like I've said earlier, Dell's surveys show consumers don't really care when it comes to AI. The hype is collapsing. Despite the fact that I've been laid off twice as a developer due to AI adoption, I have so many thoughts about that, but they're going to come crawling back to us. Don't you worry. It's going to happen. maybe a little copium, but I've got some major thoughts about this. Anyway, so what do you do when you've invested hundreds of billions of dollars into something the market is rejecting? You try to control the narrative. You go on podcasts and talk about doomer narratives being harmful. You write blog posts or have AI write blog posts asking people to stop using the word slop. You try to shame critics by saying they're being unhelpful to society. This is the classic sunk cost fallacy playing out in real time at a massive corporate scale. They've invested so much money that they cannot admit it might have been a mistake. They have to keep pushing, keep marketing, keep forcing AI into products because the alternative is admitting that hundreds of billions of dollars were wasted on technology consumers don't. And that's why they're so threatened by terms like slop and Microslop. Those words represent a narrative they can't control. And when the actual dictionary declares AI content to be slop, that's the cultural zeitgeist rejecting your product. When your brand name becomes a viral meme for poor quality, that's consumers voting with their voices, which means they will soon be voting with their wallets. The desperation in their messaging really just tells you everything you need to know about how precarious this position really is for them. These aren't confident executives celebrating successful products. These ultimately are worried CEOs watching billions of investments face a market that's increasingly saying, no, thank you. So what does this all mean for you as a consumer? You can disable connected experiences in Microsoft 365, and you can refuse to enable features like recall. There are guides all over the internet for reclaiming control of your operating system. And if you'd like me to make one, let me know in the comments, because I haven't actually tried these yet. If you saw my earlier video, I was at Army basic training where I got medically discharged and I just got back. So I'm learning about this stuff as I'm giving it to you. So I I'd be more than happy to make a video showing how I'm able to disable these things. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But let me know in the comments below if that's something that you would like to see, or if you would just prefer to find a different guide on your own. Linux has never been more user-friendly, and it doesn't force AI features on you. Mac OS even has AI features too, but Apple has been more conservative about the integration and more transparent about privacy. Apple is pretty expensive, and while I like them for their mobile devices, I actually don't like Mac OS. Sorry, not sorry. But if you're fed up with Windows, now might be the time to explore other options. One thing I will say for the gamers out there, again, because I just got back, I don't know about SteamOS. I've heard it's getting better. I would like to do a video on SteamOS, but I know that can be a real big deal breaker for gamers. So let me know in the comments below if SteamOS is actually working, or if it's easy to get Steam running on Linux now. In the meantime, I will research that on my own. I probably should have before doing this video, but that just popped into my head. My bad, guys. Look, AI does have legitimate uses. I know, just been crapping all over it, and I'm completely torn. From a tech lover, the technology behind AI, things like machine learning, the LLM, I love all that stuff. I think it's so cool. My first IT job was in a data center. My husband managed a data center for 14 years. I love that type of technology, and there are some good uses to it. Like, no one's arguing against that, but on the other side, there's a massive difference between AI as a useful tool when you need it, when you choose it, and AI being shoved into every single aspect of your operating system or every single aspect of your life. I even heard they were trying to sell an AI mouse where you have a little button where you pay more to click on a button to pull up ChatGPT. I'm like, if I really wanted to, I could just map a button on my mouse anyway. Whether you like it or not, Microsoft and Nvidia have chosen an approach that's backfiring fairly spectacularly. Computers are slower, updates are massive, privacy is compromised, and security risks are ever increasing. And now the CEOs are just being babies about it. So when the dictionary itself calls your content slop, when your brand name becomes a viral meme for poor quality, when your consumers are openly mocking your defensive PR attempts, it's not just bad optics. That's the market rejecting your product. The question now is, will Microsoft and Nvidia listen to the backlash and make AI features truly optional and maybe stop pushing it so hard? We don't want to always be connected to the internet, and we definitely don't want the bloat of AI slowing our computers to a halt. Massive L for Microslop and Nvidia, and an even bigger L for CEOs who think they can shame customers into accepting inferior products. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tech industry analysis, gaming commentary, entertainment, you name it. And drop a comment below. Are you dealing with AI bloat on your computer? Are you going to be abandoning Windows? Or do you like the AI features being integrated into these systems? Outside of the technology or outside of the hardware, have you found any uses in your life for AI products? I'd love to hear from you. And again, let me know if you would like any guides on changing the settings on your PC with group policy, or if you would like more of a deep dive into like SteamOS or what gaming could look like on Linux. And remember, you don't have to accept products you don't want, no matter how much money tech CEOs have invested in them. Your wallet, your computer, Your choice. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out. Bye.